Welcome to my summary of the EU6 Nature Walk, Echo Uniform 6. So let's start with the letter E, and what did I find or what came to mind? So let's start with ego and eco. You may have seen a diagram where there's a triangle and a silhouette of a person standing at the top of the triangle, and underneath it is all the flora and fauna. And then beside it is a circle where the person is inside with the flora and fauna. So the triangle was suggesting ego, the circle suggesting eco. Along the way, I said to myself, what would happen if I could balance the two of those, the triangle and the circle? And therefore, I created the third one here on the right, the amoeba. And what it does is it reminds me is that change is external and it's influencing my questions and answers, which is my transition. So I'm transitioning because of change. In other words, I'm balancing my ego in my eco. And it was just a way for me to make sense of all of what was coming at me, for me, with me, because of me. Next came the ecosystem and the ecosystem. The ecosystem, what I think about there is the self reference, the self concept, the perspective, perception, the point of view that a person might offer, like this portrait of a person standing underneath the tree. And then there's the ecosystem, which is a community of livingness, the organisms of plants and animals and microorganisms interacting with the physical environment, the air, water, soil. There are human ecosystems, and it's a term often used in business, and it is also used in infrastructure decisions. It's about that sort of complex relationship between persons, the environment, and social cultural structures. And I think of that like a landscape. So whenever I'm doing my journaling, if I journal in a portrait format, it's a little bit more about myself and my ecosystem. But if I'm journaling where it's a landscape orientation, it's more about the ecosystem. So it's just a fun way for me to remember how it all comes together. One of the trees that, if I had an opportunity to get to know, would be the elder tree because I interact with youngers, olders, elders. And the elder tree was a tree that I haven't had a chance to actually meet, touch, say hello to. But I kind of like the elder tree is because older, elder. There is a tree called the alder tree that is in my neck of the woods. It's a pioneer tree associated with a wet area before the other trees start to move in, like the aspen and the spruce. So I just wanted to do a shout out to the elder tree today. But just before I leave that, because of where we are in the fall in the area where I live, there's always a sense that there's the evergreen, coniferous, and the deciduous. And what distinguishes them is the deciduous tends to lose its leaves in the winter. And therefore, evergreen, the needles are always there. However, there is the larch tree in our neck of the woods. And there's a valley called Larch Valley that is filled with larches that turn this yellow kind of color. And it's a place for camera buffs and those who just love to get out into nature. And therefore, this is a celebration of the larch. But I've used it in my logo for the Awareness channel. And you can see the imagery here in the middle. Let's turn to the letter U and what's available. So I was thinking about under the trees and persons having conversations under the trees, a great place to have a picnic and just get together. But also under the trees is what's the ecosystem underneath the trees. That's why there are the green lines and dots and underscores, just getting you to go into the picture a little bit more. And it's not just about the person sitting and having a conversation, but what's the ecosystem underneath that tree, around that tree? I just thought it'd be interesting. Then there is the word understand and understanding, and understand leads to value. And there's a phrasing here of understanding to value through understanding, perspective, witnessing, appreciation, and relevance. And I would just ask you to read this and then think about what this means in relationship to this video as a whole. I'm not going to read it. I'll leave that to you. You can pause and just read it. I like old fence posts. And if I was to create a gallery presentation, it would probably be about fence posts because there's a lot going on with the fence posts. The older wood that's there, the barbed wire or wire that's across them, this notion of the column of the fence post and the rows of the wire. But there's also undergrowth, hedges or hedgerows that form fences. And I find those fascinating as well. They're not as many in my neck of the woods where I live, but they're certainly very prevalent. I always see them in shows out of England and Wales and Scotland. And I just sort of go, okay, this is kind of neat. So I thought that when I go to Ireland next year or the year after, I'm going to go poke around in some of these hedgerows and into this undergrowth and see what's there. Maybe a good idea or a bad idea. I don't know. I'll figure it out when I get there. Next is the number 6. I like this number because of the hexagon, the honeycomb, and enjoying the honey that comes from it. But it's also a really wonderful shape to build and grow things. And I find it of great value when I'm looking at mind mapping out ideas and how you can put things together with this six-sided shape. So I wanted to acknowledge the honeycomb and the 6. Oh, it took me a little while, but I was looking at all the rose hips that were out there and I was looking, can I find one that has a bunch of 6? I was finding 2s and 3s and 7s and occasionally 5s. And I went, you know what? I think what I'll do is I'll just take one off a 7. And I went, nope, I'm not going to do that. So I kept looking and looking and looking. And eventually I found one where there was the 6 rose hips that were there. And I celebrated it by taking a photograph and putting it in to this video. Now, here's an interesting question. And I bring it up because I know snowflakes are coming. They're not here yet, but they're coming. And I went, are there other numbered branch arrangements of a snowflake? Because there are 6 branches in this image, and that's normally how we see it. Sometimes in coloring books, you might get 8 or 10. Add your thoughts in the comments section. What do you think? Are there other branch arrangements than 6? I'd be curious. I'm poking around out there doing my research, trying to figure out, is it always 6? Could be something else. I'd appreciate your comments. What do you think? And then bringing E and U together. And I thought I'd have some fun. You. Um, Gee, what's on the path? Oh, P.S. It wasn't planted. And so this is a summary of all of the topics that are covered off in this video. And I just like to share a short poem. It's more what I would call short poems. It's AI Haiku 5. And I just asked the haiku world to give me a sense of um, 5 poems, and I want to read them to you. Elder tree, roots deep in stilled earth, wisdom sways in ancient winds, time's quiet witness. Undergrowth, hidden life below, whispers weave through tangled green, shadows cradle growth. Hexagon, nature's perfect shape. Honeycomb, sweet geometry, order in chaos. Emergence from dark soil it grows, breaking through to touch the light. New life finds its way. Understanding. Silent gaze exchanged. Hearts align with spoken truth. Bridges built from words. Yes, I turned to AI and asked it to write these 5 haiku. I was just curious what it would come up with based on the topics that I was bringing forth in the video, this EU6 nature walk. If you're wondering about the original prompt, here it is here. You can pause and read and use it. And so, thank you for joining me on this EU6 Echo Uniform 6 Nature Walk. So appreciate your comments down below and subscribe. That would be wonderful. And in terms of the nature walks, instead of doing it weekly, I'm going to do it monthly now. And I'm taking this path on now is because things are going to start to shift where I live, and snow's coming, the cold will be coming, and it will shift the ecosystem in which I live. And it won't be as easy to get out some days. So I thought that if I did my walk, my 2 letter number nature walk, I can take it in over the course of a month and have a little bit more fun. So what might happen is instead of like 3 to 4 points per letter and number, I might add more, and I'll see what happens, how this all shifts. My request of you is please watch lots of the channel videos. There'll be a couple that will pop up around this page here that you can click on and watch, but certainly watch as many of them as you can. That certainly helps me. Again, just a reminder to subscribe, and I so appreciate comments. I get to learn from you about what it is that you like, maybe other topics that you would like to have covered. Let's see what unfolds for us as we move forward. So, with that, thank you again for joining me on EU6 Nature Walk. Take care.